Hello, my fellow starseeds. Welcome to another deep diving session, which allows me to share with you the different discoveries that have helped me to hone my intuitive skills, develop my powers of discernment, but most of all, allows me to grow and keep transforming so that I can be the best version of myself. So it was something I've been thinking about for a little while now. And after having a conversation with a friend of mine recently, actually no names, I'm not going to let her know she's in my story, I got thinking. So here goes. Oh, by the way, if you see a safety pin popping up every so often, my muscle arms just popped one of my bat wings. But you know, the show must go on. How do some people go through life thinking that the world is their oyster and that they can be and do anything they like, as well as be their own saviour? And then there are others, on the other hand, who feel like they've been dealt a really bad hand and they have no control over their fate. So they therefore don't do anything to try and change it and just leave everything basically up to chance. What makes people fall on either of those corns? I'm not throwing any shade on anyone that falls into the bracket of, being the observer of their life. But it just got me thinking, is it luck that determines how someone can be great, or somebody who's just as hardworking, just as intelligent, doesn't get the same outcome? I don't personally think so. I don't think it's luck, but I will go into it further. So according to some family members, I've always been quite lucky from childhood. That certain favour would land on my lap. I just took it for granted. I still do. I'm just expectant of things to always work out for me. And I'm sure there's people out there that share my view. I mean, some might put it down to, oh, you're easy on the eye or whatever. But for me, it was always more than that. There was a real innate desire within me to prove myself and to prove to everyone else that there's more than what I look like to me. Also, God made it very clear from an early age that I was destined to do something significant. So I always aspired for things to try and prove myself right. So is it luck if you get an idea that you want to accomplish something? You want to work for yourself, for example. You affirm to yourself and you're not really sure how. But out of nowhere, you feel drawn to taking an art class, for example. And during that time, it ignites a memory that you had when you were very young, that you wanted to grow up and be an artist. So you start to investigate a bit, have fun with it, post random pictures on your social media, really enjoy the experience and, really revel in that whole art thing. And then one day, one of your pieces is picked up by a gallery or an art fair who want to see more of your work. So do you think this is luck or do you think this is fate? I personally think it's the latter. When something is destined and you get on the same vibration as the said thing, people, places, things that you're supposed to align with are already there. It's just waiting for you to align with it. You don't have to hold on too tightly to the outcome you want to see or achieve. Once you're on the path that is designed for you, the route there would seem a lot easier than if you were trying to just do it blindly and maneuver it on your own. When you follow the prompts and the breadcrumbs, the path starts to become clearer. You start to see, this is why this is leading me to here. All the support from your ancestors and your divine team that know your heart and know what makes you happy will just show you the way. You won't need to manipulate people, manipulate situations to get to your destination. People that are there to help you will show up. Or people you know will take a new position in your life, and it will feel like they have been there all this time for that purpose. And this is another theory of mine, that sometimes we are elevated to a place of prominence, or a place where others might view as lucky, because the divine wants to endorse us and elevate us as a reward for something that you've gone through or overcome. As we grow and evolve, how we respond to situations that arise in our world becomes really, really important, more than ever actually. Once upon a time when we were younger, our reactions were more emotional, came from a more lower vibration place. We'd get angry, jealous, violent in some cases when something we wasn't really happy with took place. But all of these emotions can be purged to a certain degree, and depending on how well we've dealt with them, how much we've got them under control, how much we've got our emotions under control, the divine will reward us. If you've managed to keep an air of grace and maturity rather than showing out and beating down some people, even if they may deserve it in your eyes, you'll see that the divine will bless you. Often these endorsements happen after something quite traumatic or life changes takes place in our world. There's those times when we really lose hope or we're really shaken to the core. If you can think back to a time in your life when you were really suffering and just can't believe how something came into your world, did it make you or did it break you? If you listen to a lot of famous stories, you'll see that a lot of the traumas that took place in their life were turning points and catalysts that made them go really deep and create their success story. I know the things I've gone through in recent life, the lessons that came were not to destroy me or keep me in a place of despair. They happen to strengthen us, teach us how to set boundaries, love ourselves more. And of course, for us to use it as fuel to propel us into bigger and better things for ourselves and our family. Some may even go as far as to say this is the universe testing us, but I don't endorse that idea. We are all where we are at whatever said time for a reason. We're here to learn, grow, and sometimes if we just don't get the lesson, we have to just keep repeating it until we understand why that experience is happening in our world. When you get your blessing, the divine is basically trying to balance and create order. And because Spirit is all seeing and all hearing and has a full insight to what's going on behind the scenes, the things we can't see, I don't tend to question when I get that prompt that something has to change. We've all heard that saying, rejection is God's protection, right? I believe that wholeheartedly. So as a result of this, my mourning of things that haven't turned out how I've expected have changed drastically. I heal quicker. I accept that everything is happening for my betterment. Do we need to see the divine's entire plan for us? Does the road that we're traveling have to be revealed and totally clear to us before we take action? Absolutely not. I can recall a conversation with a friend that has so many great ideas about business but never took any action to make them manifest. They'll say things to this effect when I'll ask them why they don't do this is, well, we don't have to put our hands in fire to know it wouldn't feel good. Or they just use logic to talk themselves out of it. I'm just like, wow. What that told me was that their mindset, the failure mindset, has been keeping them stuck and inactive. Therefore, they had no hope of ever being that success story based on that. And, they'll more than likely also be the type of people that would view other people's fortune as them being more lucky than them. How can someone that's been blessed with so much creativity be so untrusting of their own abilities? It's just, it's easier to look at it from a point of view that you're maybe the victim and you're not the blessed one. And woe is me. But, really everyone has that ability to be on the other position. The issue is you have to cultivate a relationship with yourself. Now, I'm not talking about the self that talks you out of being your greatest self. I'm talking about your higher self. The self that loves you unconditionally, that directs you, supports you, and that's constantly on your side. And any decisions you make, it will encourage it if it encourages growth. Staying stuck and letting fear dictate your destination is not self-love. I'm sure we all know that. To keep allowing the same excuses to win is definitely not the right route to go. It's self-sacrifice, self-deceit, and needs to be eradicated. Falling, failing, it's all part of the process. We all do it. Nothing to be ashamed of. It's just part of life. Also, we shouldn't allow the fact that we can't see too far ahead on our journey to render us inactive. I'm certain if we could see it, the entire journey that God had for us would run in the opposite direction, because our fears would kick in and be like, boy, there's no way I can do that. I can't achieve that. But, we can all do it in small increments. I mean, we all have free will, so that is also at play. We have to know that what we desire is possible as long as we heed our intuitive nudges, create a two-way relationship with the divine and your spiritual team, and just walk with faith that you are being guided to achieve that said thing you want, your goals, all the things your heart desires. Once we finally heed the calling of our inner voice and decide we want to level up, often there'll be a lot of things we will have to overcome. People will have to be released from our life. Behaviour patterns that don't serve us anymore will need to be eradicated. Sometimes it even could be addictions that we've held for so long that we have to do away with. Now, when I say addictions, it sounds all serious. It might not necessarily drugs, alcohol, sexual. It could be addicted to a certain person, addicted to people pleasing, addiction to control, controlling situations. All these things are not, self-love. And because the divine is love, it'll always show you within your heart the different situations that you're in or surrounded by that are not helping you to honour yourself. Now, how do we know when we're on the right path and we're being acknowledged by the divine? When you do the inside work, set out to be the best version of yourself and do it from a place of love and compassion. The divine will reward you along the way, sometimes small little increments, and in other times in unexpected huge ways. I think I've seen both sides of the coin, and I'm certain a lot of you have done too. But probably didn't realise this is you being rewarded for your unwavering beliefs, because of your good heart, or just simply because it's your birthright. Or simply because of your selflessness, but not too much selflessness, because that can also be deemed as not being in your own love, your own self-love, especially if it's not reciprocated or not coming from a balanced place, or it's one of your addictions. But your continuous efforts to grow and be your best self can also speed up your blessings too. But also the reverse can happen and keep you stagnant if you choose, on the other hand, not to grow, or you allow the external circumstances to keep you stuck. Of course, a certain amount of attainment can be achieved with brute force, effort, a bit of maneuvering. But can you imagine where you could be if you had the divine and your team as your biggest cheerleader? Okay, so there it is. It's not luck, it's your destiny. You can choose to have your destiny full of love, great, wonderful things, or you can just wait and just live your life and just leave it up to chance. It's your choice. You have free will. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for staying with me, lending me your ears. And if you enjoy that one, please like, please share, and subscribe. And if you have any comments and want to have a conversation, please do. Okay, thank you. Namaste.